Hey there kids, welcome to another math video. This is for Module 6, Grade 5, Lesson 13 homework. And so little problem or like weird thing with the book is that I think at one point they actually had the grid down here so that you could use the grid, which is kind of the purpose of the lesson, and we used it in the problem set to determine if the lines at the bottom were parallel. And so then on the homework, there's no grid. So anyway, I'll show you the alternative method because most of my books that are extras do not have the grid. So we're gonna work with what they gave us. So anyway, the objective here in this lesson is to construct parallel line segments on a rectangular grid, without the grid. But also I don't spend a lot of time showing students how to use a right angle template and straight edge because we've talked about how many different ways to make parallel lines. And if you want to make a right angle, yes, you know, in class you might have a set square. Okay, so if I've got a set square and I want to make a right angle, I can put any straight line or straight edge onto something that I have shown to be straight. We can make a set of lines like this. Watch out for the rounded corner. You can make a right angle on something like this. And so with your straight edge, and you don't have to have a right angle template, you can just use a straight edge and then cross that at a 90-degree angle. It's helpful if you have a couple different tools that are straight so that you can just kind of confirm and of course slide different things next to each other so you can create that square corner. So it says 3 sets of parallel lines in the space below. Hooray, parallel lines. You can go any direction. You can use any device that you have. They can be thinner. Again, if you have something like this, it's really helpful. And if you don't, then just skip that part and wait till you get to school and you have your supplies. Now at the bottom, it says circle the segments that are parallel. How can you do that if you don't have the grid when that is the objective of the lesson? So a little cheat, a little workaround is to extend the lines if you're not sure. Most of these lines are pretty easy to tell. They're not trying to trick you. You can measure the distance between them in 2 places. So I can use my ruler to line up the tick mark for the 0 and the 1. See how the long one is right here, and then I scooch it over and then it disappears, and so I can say, okay, well this is 1 centimeter here, and you can move it down, and because the spine of the book gets in the way here, you can move it down. And you can use a different part of your ruler if you'd like. Use the 14 to 15, and I can still see that it's 1 centimeter exactly apart. I can see that this would create that right angle. So I know that these two, because they're the same amount, 1 centimeter and 1 centimeter here, it's not going to change out here and suddenly become 2 centimeters. So these are parallel, and I can tell by measuring across. Another little cheat workaround is that if you look at a pair of lines that seem a little bit wonky, is what I like to say, extend them by laying your straight edge down along one line. Extend it so that you can eventually see a closer section of this where if you were to measure the distance between the two, and I say, oh, okay, well out here at the end I have approximately 1 centimeter, but down over here I definitely have less than 1 centimeter. So these are not parallel because if by extending, it gives you a little bit more latitude to measure the gap between the 2 lines. Same thing here on these lines. They don't look exactly straight. If you extend using a straight edge, extend the lines, then measure the distance between the two using something precise. If this is 5 millimeters down here, it's clearly not 5, it's about 2. So again, not parallel. And so for these, it's a little bit harder to, without crossing over into the other ones. Okay, extending it out, and again, you want to measure the distance. Okay, it appears that these, measuring here, I've got a little bit more than a centimeter, about 12 millimeters, and then if I was to go down here, looks like I've got about 11 millimeters. So it's a little bit off. If I was to extend forever, maybe they would. I think this is the best the book could do, so I think these are supposed to be these are supposed to be parallel. If I go all the way through the other side, and that could just be me, user error. Yep, that one gets a little bit wider, and it could just be my skinny pencil, but I'm going to call that and say no, these are not parallel either. Okay, so these two, extending, measuring the distance here, we've got about 8 centimeters here, or I'm sorry, 8 millimeters here, and it's such a short distance. That's about 7 millimeters here. And so again, the printing of the book, very challenging here. They're trying to give us lines without a grid, so we can't use the strategy that they're saying by the over and down. And if I was to, this is still about 7 out here. Okay, let me remeasure out here. Yeah, that's 8, that's 7. I think they actually want these to be, I think this is supposed to be a yes, but with this, I think it's supposed to be a yes, but using this and my skinny pencil, it starts to look a little bit smaller. Pretty sure these are supposed to be yes without the grid and the ability to triangulate. It's making it really tough there. These two definitely look wonky. I would extend the line and extend it here and measure the distance over here, and it's looking like about 9 millimeters, and over here it's about 12. So nope, that one's definitely easier. These two do look parallel. Okay, so if you set up your straight edge, and we've got about 12 millimeters straight across, and 12, thank goodness. So yes, I'm sure they're supposed to have some. I would say these are probably supposed to be parallel, even though my measurement is off slightly. All the other ones seem pretty wonky except these. So I would say this one, this one, this one are supposed to be yes. Definitely use the strategy of extending the line, but the grid is going to help you a lot more. It'd be nice if they would actually provide the grid that they want us to use. Okay, so here we are on the back. And finally we get to use the grid, and we're going to draw a segment parallel to each segment through the given point. And we can use our down and over strategy like we learned in the problem set. So it's helpful if you have something that's a little bit darker than a pencil, but start with a pencil just to make sure you get your lines in the right place. This one is really easy. It's on the line. So if it's going to be on the line and it goes through point S, you can take your straight edge and lay it down, and you want to have a line that is parallel to this one, but going through point S. Make it heavy and dark. If it's too hard to see, pick a color, any color you like. If you're sure you're in the right place, then make something colorful. It stands out against that gray print on the grid. Okay, so for A, we've got this. For B, we've got T. It's hard to tell sometimes what they're talking about. This is for A. This is for B. C is over here. Okay, so for T, again, very easy. We're just making a line on the line that goes through point T. Okay, so we're using the grid to help us create parallel lines. Easy peasy. Then you get here and you go, what? Okay, no problem. Count over and down. So 1, let me do it in pencil. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, we're trying to make a right triangle. Down 4, 1, 2, 3 over 3. Now, I'm going to be off the graph. If I go too far, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. My second point to connect with this point, point U, is going to be right here on the edge of the graph. Plot that with your pencil, move your straight edge, and then create your line. And now we have parallel lines here. Okay, so your strategy is to triangulate, make a right triangle. Remember, right triangle here. And then the right triangle would be here for the second one. Okay, and for D, the down 1 to the right 3, down 1 to the right 1, 2, 3. And again, sometimes the best the book can do is going to be not quite perfect, like we learned on the previous page. Okay, so parallel lines using the strategy with the grid. This one is a down 2 over 3, down 2 over 1, 2, 3. Create your parallel lines. See how the point's not precisely in the corner? Just make sure that your line looks roughly parallel to, and that's going to be good enough. And for these two, we've got our down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Put your other point and connect from corner to corner. And there you have parallel lines. Okay, so it's really nice when they give you the grid because you can be more precise. This other strategy with extending the lines works pretty well if you're on your own, but the strategy here, the objective, was to use the grid. All right, so the last part, let me move my water and take a sip. The last part is to draw 2 different lines parallel to line B. And so we can do one above and one below, but how do you figure out how to do it precisely? Remember to find the intersecting points and use that to go up or down to create your 2 other points. Now you can go down as far as you like. It doesn't have to be just below. So let's say you go down 1 over 3, okay? That would, if you put your point anywhere here, let's say, down 1 over 1, 2, 3 is the second point, so I can make my line, okay? And all you need are 2 points to create a line. You can go up 1 and over 3 and put a point here and say, okay, I'm going to go up 1 and over 3. And now I have a line above and a line below. And I just need to connect the 2 points with my straight edge. And hopefully, look at my point is a little off right there. Hopefully your line is going to be straighter than mine. You can always put 3 points, okay, over 3, down 1, and that will help you line up a little bit better than I just did. If you have 3 points on your line, precision can be your friend. There you go. Okay, So anyway, using the graph, counting your way, making those triangular points, those right triangles, remember, down and over, like you're giving directions and you're driving down the street, over a block, down a block. That's what you're doing with this graph. So hopefully this video is helpful. I know it's kind of rough on the front. If you don't have a graph, don't labor over that too much. Yeah, hopefully your book has a graph on it. And if not, oh well, let it go. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.